Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wilder Ride, Getting Wilder by the Minute, a podcast where we celebrate the films of Gene Wilder 1 minute at a time. It is Wednesday, hump day. Happy hump day to you if you're catching this live. And for our second season, we are diving into Blazing Saddles. No, don't do that. Don't shoot him. That'll just make him mad. Minute at a time. I'm your host. I'm Alan Sanders.
I am your co-host, Walt Murray.
And it is our pleasure to welcome back BK from the radio show BK on the Air. Welcome.
Thanks, fellas. Good to be here. I thought it was Willy Wonka, so I'm just going to have to make up things as I go.
We appreciate you got the right minute.
You hadn't changed. Still Gene Wilder. I can do it. It's all right.
Yeah, we appreciate you making time for us for an additional minute of the podcast.
Yes. I'm glad to be here. Holding up giant sign, you talk now. Okay, sorry, I got you.
He's like turned into the Rick Moranis character from Ghostbusters.
That's right.
Do you want to have some? Yes, have some.
Yeah. While I'm here, can I do your taxes?
We go to the trouble of writing out a script for you, and you've obviously not paid any attention to it.
Hold on. I am happy to be here. Thank you, fellas, for being so gracious to letting me back on the show because you rule.
On the greatest podcast ever.
As long as you follow the rule.
Exactly.
Having his party, it's a tax write-off. That's why I invited clients instead of friends.
That's right. Having a good time, Dallin?
Zool.
See, you're gonna get hate mail here for that. You know, you're just getting off track. You know,
yeah.
We don't want hate mail.
We will, I'm sure.
You guys don't talk about the movie enough.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We cover a lot of the movie, but we cover a lot because this movie cuts across a lot of cultural discussions and a lot of other things pop in your heads.
Oh, yes, it does.
Well, if you guys remember yesterday when we had one of our patrons on yesterday.
I'm sorry. I couldn't stop.
You can't wave to me?
I tried.
You can't go, what, hold?
And
see this?
Cut.
This is how it works. Hey, you guys wanted me back in here, so that's
somebody better check the local registry. Their village idiot's missing.
That's what you're going to get.
Why would I spend $24 on a cable when I can spend $5?
Exactly.
Why go premium?
And why get the three when you get the prongs ones to plug in? Just break off the ground one and just plug it in. That's what my uncle did.
What could possibly go wrong?
Just plug it in. Yeah.
Who needs first class?
Right.
That's right.
All right.
Oh, Lord.
If you remember yesterday, we had one of our golden ticket subscribers, Ross Seymour, join us and got us all up to where we are today with basically Mongo in town. And we have a very distraught Van Johnson wanting to know if he can get the sheriff's help. So we're going to continue that scene today where Sheriff Bart is going to ask, so who is this Mongo anyway? And we're going to end with Candygram from Mongo. It's going to be a little odd because Sheriff Bart is the one saying that. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this minute. BK, you weren't here for the first couple of days of this week, but we are talking about the arrival. We had Mongo earlier, but now this is the first arrival of Mongo into Rock Ridge. So do you remember first time thinking or seeing the movie with Mongo? We saw him at the camp, but he actually was riding in on a bull.
Right. And Mongo, I want to pose a question about Mongo in the movie, and it'll happen more and more as your minutes go by, and especially during this one because there's some things happening in this minute here. Played by Alex Karras, I guess. But wasn't Alex a football player, right? He's done a lot of stuff, and we talk about him too more. I think Mongo is a superhero of some kind.
I think he is too.
Because
I'd agree with
if you add up all the things that have been said about him, we have the scene here coming up about Black Bart is about to grab his gun in the upcoming moment here, and Gene Wilder tells him, you know,
No, don't do that. Don't do that. If you shoot him, you'll just make him mad.
So bullets don't bother him. It's going to make him mad. And then we'll see him, backed up everyone against the piano and they can't move. I mean, Mongo is the Hulk.
I think he's the Hulk.
Is an incarnation of the Hulk.
We made this illusion already when we had the guys from Radio Labyrinth that, our first season had to do with the hulking beast with Young Frankenstein. And we have another hulking beast in this movie where it's just played by a guy called Mongo.
That's right. That's right. He is a beast.
So
Hulking.
somewhere out in the West, see, there were no radiation things like Bruce Banner had in the Hulk, but somewhere out in some cave, Mongo was looking for gold at one point, and there was some radiation in that cave that was let loose from underground and saturated Mongo and gave him some superpowers. And I think that's what happened.
So at some point he was 153 pound.
Even dumber than he is now. Yeah, he was even more. Yeah, but he got a little smarter.
His IQ went way up.
He's dumb now, but he was really dumb before the radiation hit him, and he got super strong. So yeah, he's a superhero, I think, or maybe a super villain. I don't know. But
Why
he's
does it
strong.
have to be radiation, though? Why couldn't it be something else? Maybe he was smoking some
it's
strange
always
peyote with
radiation.
some Indians.
Well, it could, but I was trying to stay
was
along the
tainted
lines of
with
the Hulk.
something.
You know.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, you're right.
You want to have gamma rays?
It was radioactive peyote.
Okay. If you want to mix those two together, sure, fine. Radioactive.
Because it's always radiation.
I was thinking more like he was drinking lead-lined water or something, you know?
And the peyote was green or something. Yes.
Like, Mongo go blind.
He got some bad moonshine.
Yeah, got some bad shine through a radiator. A little lead,
Through the radiator.
lead toxicity started rising in the blood.
We've all been there.
We have.
Well, all of us in this chair have.
All of us in this chair.
One of us during a podcast.
One of us is in that chair.
Remember, one of us during a podcast, somebody had to go to and he come back really quick during one Blazing Saddles episode. Somebody's saddle was blazing.
There's a
and one of
reason
them-
we were doing Blazing Saddles, and sometimes it lives up to its name.
Can't remember what episode that was, but go back and listen. It's one of the
Blazing
ones
chair,
along.
Blazing saddle, Blazing shorts,
Shard Week.
Shard Week.
Right.
We've had our problems.
We had a
Cow
guest
turd.
before that to duck walk himself out the movie theater, so nothing drops.
Oh Lord. Mongo's great. Alice Karras, by the way, is really great in here. I know he had a pretty good acting career. TV show Webster, which he starred with Susan Clark, his wife, by the way, he was married to, and he appeared in. I don't know if you guys remember this, but he appeared as the sheriff in Porky's. Remember in Porky's, he was the
That's
sheriff,
right.
and Susan Clark was in Porky's too as the hooker as well. So they did another
that's
acting
right.
job together. And so Alex Karras was what was his name? Sheriff Wallace. And he was so mean to the guys in Porky's when they were trying to leave Porky's and leave the bar that they weren't supposed to be because they were underage. And they're like, okay, stop up against the wall, get over here. You better fucking freeze, mister. he was just doing like his best. He played the best sheriff in that. And he was great. So that's two of my good roles. And Victor Victoria, Blake Edwards movie, Victor Victoria, directed by Blake Edwards with James Garner and Julie Andrews. You guys see? Did you see it?
I did see it. And
It's a musical. It's really a great comedy, and he plays Squash Bernstein in it. He's James Garner's bodyguard, and again, he's Alex Karras. He's going to play, the bodyguard.
big guy. Yeah,
But
sure.
the whole movie's about people coming to terms with their sexuality and being, homosexual and gay and stuff. It's made back in 1982 because Julie Andrews was playing a woman playing a man pretending to be a woman in the film. That's what the whole movie's about. And what James Garner doesn't know is Alex Karras' character later in the film, he finds out is gay. It's a big surprise. And when the reveal is, it's great because Alex Karras is great in the way he lets him know. He goes, boss, if you're man enough to say that you're that way, I am too. And he just gives him a big hug. And James Garner's like, oh my God. But it was great. So Karras is fantastic.
I remember
This is
seeing
Mongo.
that movie in the theater when it first came out, and I would have been in high school.
Right.
And I just remember being like, what is this?
It's just,
It was just-
when it came out in the
and
early 80s.
I didn't like it. I should probably go back and watch it now. Everybody tells me how great a movie it is.
It's great. It's been turned into a Broadway musical with Julie Andrews, basically the same. Robert Preston was in it, another great actor and singer from Hollywood's golden age.
I would probably appreciate it a whole lot more now than I did then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Alex, again, Karras plays a great part in it.
I only watched it for the whole shtick of, oh my God, it's a girl dressing like a man pretending to be a woman. I was like, Then
See,
I realized, okay, that's
I don't
almost
think I
like
went
a
in with any expectation. It was
Did you
just
not
at a
catch
time.
the marketing at all?
No, I think it was just at
Like,
a time
that
when I
was the
just
ad.
went to see movies, and James Garner was in it, from the
Right.
Rockford Files, and
That's for you. That's
Yeah,
it.
so
he plays a good role.
and Alex Karras was in it. So I don't really know what I went in expecting, but I didn't really like it. So I guess I need to go back and rewatch.
Watch it again. When I first saw it was on cable when I was back in the late 80s, and I thought it was mildly amusing. Blake Edwards is a great director anyway. Did Pink Panther movies, 10 with Dudley Moore, a lot of movies that he's done. And it's typical
Wait,
of his
no.
comedy.
10 was not with Dudley Moore.
10 was with, who was it with?
Bo Derek.
Bo Derek.
No, but Dudley Moore was the guy in it.
I know,
Dudley Moore
but
was in it, but he's thinking,
yeah.
I don't
10 was
care.
not with Dudley
As far
Moore.
as
Well, you
Walt's
know what?
concerned, there
I
was
saw
only
10 because of... I didn't see 10 because of him.
Somebody out there might have thought Dudley was a 10 somewhere out there. I don't know. Not here,
I'm
but
sure.
yeah.
You know.
on the comedy scale.
Yeah, but you watch it again, I think, and you'll see Alex Karras be really funny in it. I thought it was really good, but yeah.
Well, pulling back around to your whole idea about the superhero, about the Hulk, I love this opening line when he says, who is this Mongo anyway? And the Waco Kid has a great line.
Well, Mongo ain't exactly a who, he's more of a what.
Again, it's the Hulk. Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really
Say
fall into
that.
the category of person. It's,
Right.
It's kind of a what. And Van Johnson's like, what he said. Right.
Yeah, he knows.
I can barely come up with words on my own in this character. I'm a useless Johnson.
I've already talked to a desk today.
I went to the open window where I last saw you peeking. Didn't bother to pay attention, and then now I'm back here. Yeah,
Well-
moron. That's how we started the week.
That's right.
See, I almost said something about the next minute. And I stopped myself. See, I did really good there. I didn't do it. I got another great fact about Alex Karras that ties into Blazing Saddles. Believe it or not, after his death, he passed away October 10th in 2012. A guy with just a one name guy that's affiliated with wrestling named Matthew. You ever heard of this guy named Matthew? He's kind of like Cher. He's got one name. Cher. Matthew Seal. Some people.
I used to watch wrestling all the time right around this time, but I don't
Matthew,
remember
creator
him.
of an internet wrestling series, Botchamania, paid tribute to Alex Karras' depiction of Mongo in Blazing Saddles. He had often used and parodied in Botchamania as an introduction to clips involving Steve Mongo Michael in wrestling. And I didn't know that was a tie-in to
Okay.
Alex Karras for wrestling.
I did not know that either.
So, yeah, how about that?
Look at that.
Mongo has had an amazing impact on culture.
Beyond Blazing Saddles. Yeah, he kind of has.
So
And to think it all came from a Cuban guy.
that's right.
Mongo Santa Maria.
Mongo Santa Maria.
It's also the name of the planet on Flash Gordon.
Mongo?
Yeah, the planet Mongo on
That's
Flash
right.
Gordon, where Ming is. Yeah. See, all this information that you're going to get hate mail about. We're all over it. We're all over it.
So Bart goes over to Van Johnson. He's like, and then without even waiting for the sentence.
Oh, thank you, Sheriff. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
I mean, he apparently went to some weird school of acting for this character.
Yeah, the Spaz School.
A spaz, you call him a spaz, but it's very much over the top.
Well, George Firth that plays him, that's almost exactly every role he does. It's like that. You guys said you've covered him before, but he's been in so many things. And the one thing that I remember seeing him in for the first time that I really recognized him, other than being in this, was the horrible flop that Dan Aykroyd did in 1983 called Dr. Detroit.
Hello, I'm Dan Aykroyd, and welcome to this fine motion picture emporium. Now, let's face it, big screen entertainment is what it's all about. We've enjoyed it for years. Movies are great. There's nothing like a good movie, or even a bad one for that matter. Remember the classics, though, such as Dr. No. Dr. Zhivago. And now, at last, Dr. Detroit. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Clifford Scriblow never expected to be anything but a humble scholar.
Nothing's going to change my life. My life is set.
Until one night, he came upon 4 ladies in distress.
Oh, yeah!
And to protect their honor, uphold the law,
Step aside, lackey, or you'll be eating my food.
and fight for the American way. He became the fancy dressing, flashy dancing, death-defying, jacuzzi-dipping,
Don't forget power walking, systems analysis, rock climbing.
dynamic defender of decency,
Dr. Detroit? Dr. Detroit. Dr. Detroit! Hey, what?
Dr. Detroit.
I can feel my hair grow.
Oh,
Do you guys remember
that was
that
a rough one.
thing?
Yeah. That was a rough one.
Do a special Dr. Detroit podcast as one of your special ones.
It would be very special.
One you would.
that would have no
wheelchair.
problem being short.
You know,
Yeah.
that was a terrible movie. I don't know that there's a whole lot redeeming, but I remember going to it because Dan Aykroyd was in it.
Of course.
And all the chicks, Donna Dixon,
and
his
all the
wife,
chicks.
and all the other
Big
girls.
bonus.
Fran Drescher was in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that movie did not have good acting. It was not funny.
No.
It was It's hard to find a redeeming quality in that movie.
Donna Dixon in a dress. And the hooker girls. That was probably the only good thing
that
about
was
it you
probably
could watch
it.
while you're watching it. And knowing that Dan Aykroyd is married to Donna is incredible. Which means, some guys can find a nice-looking girl sometimes,
Yeah,
I'm proof of that.
Every now and then.
It's really funny,
blind squirrel truly is blind.
You got that right.
But George plays Dan Aykroyd's dad in Dr. Detroit, and he's actually kind of funny in the movie. One of the funny things about it, which wasn't much of anything else. So, but yeah, he was in that as well, Dr. Detroit.
Now, when our Van Johnson here goes to the door, he immediately yells,
The fool's going to... the sheriff's going to do it!
Why does he do that?
And he looks back and he has that big smile. The sheriff is going to do it.
All the way up to now, why haven't they learned to give this man some respect for all he's been doing so far? Why are they still willing to just make a fool in front of them and insulting him like that? I hate that.
Well,
come on, townspeople.
Now, let me ask you, is it more about the sheriff or is it more about how bad Mongo is? That anybody that would dare to confront him
true too.
has to be a fool. Because we actually proved Samuel Johnson must be a fool because he thought he could tell him not to tie his animal up there, and he got his horse got punched.
That's right.
But even if you watch him say it and open and close the door, you watch Gene Wilder's reactions the whole time. You just your gaze leans toward Gene Wilder in this whole scene, which is great because his reactions are fantastic.
Yeah, he's laughing so hard. He's like literally squinting his eyes. Right. He's laughing so hard.
And even when he's not the center of attention, he becomes the center of attention.
And he's one of those actors that can do that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of this is breaking a little character but staying in the moment, because just as Cleavon goes to grab his gun belt, he immediately goes serious and he's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, because he's actually about to take a sip and puts it down.
Right.
He's ripping his drink.
He has sarsaparilla.
It doesn't look like a whiskey.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. And
I thought it was some kind of a weird, like a cider bottle or something like that. But when you say sarsaparilla, I wouldn't doubt if it was something more like that.
Sarsaparilla.
Trying to stay clean.
Yep, I think so.
Because you could get a sarsaparilla at the bar.
Oh, sure you could. Yeah,
it just wasn't alcoholic. But it's just basically sarsaparilla is a modern day root beer.
It could even be a Sioux City sarsaparilla. That was the big brand.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Still made with cane sugar. Can get at the store.
Yeah. Make you high some way.
I don't think that.
Make you sugar high, fat. It's another kind of high.
Hey, whatever works.
I love that interchange, though. Once again, I think all these lines are painting Mongo rather than the sheriff. Like, I don't think the Waco Kid is saying anything negative to the sheriff.
No.
I think every one of these jokes is really about, you got to be a fool to go against Mongo. He's more of a what than an actual person, and don't shoot him. You'll just make him mad. I think that for us as the audience, realize, how do you defeat the Incredible Hulk?
That's right. And then with Gene Wilder's character here, the way he's acting, he could be thinking that, but he could also be thinking, okay, don't take your gun, but go take care of him. And he's thinking, Black Bart can do it. He can go get him. I think he can get the better of Mongo, so I'm going to let him go.
Or is it because he says this, it makes Cleavon Little rethink his strategy? Because we're going to see at the end of the minute, he does not show up with a gun belt.
Right, so he didn't even have it.
Well, and it's interesting that, Gene had said, hey, look, I don't want you going out to face the townspeople.
Right.
I don't want you doing that. It's too dangerous. But he doesn't stop him from going to face Mongo. He does tell him that his strategy is not going to work.
Right.
But he does not stop him from going to face Mongo.
Right.
And, we're going to have an immediate cut to show that things are happening kind of simultaneously. We don't know who actually brainstormed the idea. We'll hear maybe later, but he's obviously going to have to rethink his strategy. You can't just go in there with a gun and hold it on him, according to the Waco Kid. If anybody would know whether or not the gun's going to work, it'd be the Waco Kid.
That's right.
Hey, could I address something in the room here before we do switch to the next setting, which I know that we're going to do here in this scene?
Sure.
Can we talk about the the filing cabinet in the room, the filing cabinets on the right behind Gene? They do look to me like they're a little modern, maybe. Do they look like they're a little more modern than they should be?
70-ish.
And I'm not trying to point it out as a blooper that they made a mistake or whatever, but they just look. They don't look period to me. I'm not a Western history aficionado like Jim Dunham, a past great guest you guys had on. But I'm wondering, could those have been the file cabinets of the time? They look like they're a little modern to me.
Well, didn't you write the authoritative book on Western filing cabinets?
Didn't I write it?
Yes.
No, I wrote the book on limo cars from Young Frankenstein. If you'll listen to Young Frankenstein podcast that we were talking about. But But I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up, and I didn't know if you guys had really looked at
this.
Those
would be just a hair anachronistic. The filing cabinet was officially invented in 1886 by Edwin G. Sybils, who was employed in his father's insurance firm and founded a vertical system for keeping records.
Right, and that's when the filing cabinet was invented. I'll grant you that. But I'm wondering, are these that are used in the film period for that time? Because I know filing cabinets have evolved over the years, and I've seen episodes of the Waltons that are set in the 30s where the filing cabinets look older than these do. So I don't know. Maybe it's because they were in depression.
I think it's the first thing we've seen, though, in the jail that doesn't look appropriate from this one shot. I think it's one of the few shots we see those cabinets in that corner.
Yeah, and thinking about the rest of the room.
Because we spent a good time when we went into the jail the very first time talking about the stove and the ornate desk and the things that were in there.
And we did not see this corner of the office.
Not at all.
So
no, we kept seeing the other side where the gun rack is on the wall, where the rifles are all strung up. Saw the jail cells on the other side, and then of course the wanted poster side, and we've seen the far side of the jail, but we haven't seen this corner. This is, I think, and one of the only and few shots we get this direction showing those cabinets just off to the door. So.
Yeah, I think you're right, BK. I think they don't fit the period.
Doesn't ruin the scene of the movie for me, but it
just ruined the whole movie for me.
I'm done.
I'm sorry. You're going to stop now?
Hashtag BK ruins everything.
Hashtag BK ruins everything.
Now I'm ruining it instead of spoiling everything. Okay, well, that's great. It's like the telephone poles and the wires in the Young Frankens. In Blazing Saddles in the hangman scene. You know, they just kind of bug me in the background.
I told you their telegraph lines. They were way ahead of their time. They had multiple lines.
And I said, okay.
And they had redundancy because the bandits kept cutting them.
Right.
No, but that is a good catch because I think you're right. I think,
and they could very well be. Period. I mean, they could. I don't know. Is what I'm saying. To me, they just look a little.
So,
out of place.
What year did you say they were invented?
1886.
Okay, so it would be about 10 years after this. 10, 12.
Yep.
Because this would be 1874.
It's 1874.
Okay. Yeah. That's the Old West. Yeah. Okay.
So they were just way ahead of their time. 12 years ahead.
Maybe.
Just because this guy got credit. You know, they didn't give the black guy credit anyway.
That's right.
They'll never give the black guy credit for inventing something. And we're going to probably find that out later, too.
That's
won't give me credit for it.
It's not the Old West. It's more like the Midwest.
In case anybody's thinking I'm saying something that's not in the movie. Because, we got to always qualify everything in the podcast coming out in the 21st century. All right. So
that sounded a little bitter. What was that all about? Do we have somebody complain about something?
No.
Oh, just me.
Okay,
like, Alan.
Just living in the 21st centry when everyone's triggered.
Yes, you have
no
to. No
pun intended, since there's guns around.
Or maybe a horse.
Which is another trigger. Wait a minute.
A horse with that name, too.
There's too many triggers.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's the West. All horses have no name, according to America.
I've been through the desert
through the desert.
Horse, no name.
It's good to be out of the rain.
That's right. Because in the desert, you can remember your name.
All right, so now we have William Shatner.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
I agreed to this, by the way. You suggested it.
Yeah, I was like, hey, BK.
Hey, I'm pushing another movie out of my head to do this tonight. There's another movie in my head trying to take over right now as we speak. But I don't
know what your end game is, but you need to stop it.
I don't know what's focused. Hey, whatever it takes. I'm focused on Blazing Saddles, though, right now, so I'm doing a darn good job.
All right, so we don't know if there's some continuing discussion, but the last little bit here is he says, no, don't do that. You'll just make him mad. And there's that long sort of like just staring pause as Gene Wilder goes to pick up his sarsaparilla and take a sip. And Cleavon's frozen. He's like, what?
Yeah.
He's almost the same frozen, but in a different way as when the woman confronted him in the street. That's sort of like, I don't know how to react to this. I don't know what to think.
What is this
mean
town
up yours?
all about?
Yeah, the up yours.
Yeah,
okay.
Up yours.
Yeah.
So we immediately cut to the inside of the Rock Ridge Saloon.
And there's so many things here to start. Where do we start? Where do we start here?
That is the question.
Okay, well, the first thing we should start with is the very first thing we all notice, because we're always going to be drawn to what's happening in the center of the screen, is we notice there's about 7 or 8 guys all stuck behind the piano, and Mongo seems to be slowly doing the trash compactor scene from Star Wars.
As the Hulk, yes.
I mean, he is pushing them back, and he keeps finding ways to keep getting them closer and closer to the wall, like he's squishing them. Great staging here. But As a kid, I never paid attention to the 4 bodies in the room. We have a guy who's hanging off the staircase.
Right in the background, yes.
We have a guy who seems like he's sitting almost folded in half up in the corner.
Right.
And then we've got somebody who apparently was left completely alone and is completely oblivious of everything that's happening behind him.
And the cowboy completely oblivious at the table. I think Mongo left him alone because he's peeling a boiled egg. And he's eating it. He did not want to interrupt his boiled egg.
Leave the boiled egg guy alone. That's a little too crazy for me.
Well, back then in the West, have you smelled what a fermented egg smelled like that you would take on the trail?
Brutal.
Oh, hey, how about a hard-boiled egg that's been sitting in formaldehyde for like the last 12 days on the ride? Sure.
Yeah.
Or nothing. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll eat it.
Or I can chew on a root.
Yeah, take your boots off. That smells better.
Take your boot that you had on for like the last 12 days.
Running
since
for the weeds.
Crossing the stream, and your feet stayed wet for 12 of them.
But that's better than the boiled egg.
Well, the place is a shambles. All the chairs are stacked up in the middle of the room for some reason. There's also another guy humped over a table that's in the middle of the room.
Right.
Only one left, though, peeling his stinky egg.
He is going to eat his egg.
He doesn't even bother looking behind him.
No,
he's admiring his egg. He's almost like, you know what? I think that's the precursor to Tom Hanks's character talking to Wilson. He's having his conversation with the egg. He's like,
before he eats it.
Wilson.
You've seen the guy in the bar, though, that just, a bomb could go off in the bar and it's not going to affect him. He's just oblivious.
Totally in his own world.
Been there, done that.
He loves his pretty little boiled egg.
But I swear, it's like
gonna eat it.
He looks to his right like he's talking to somebody. There's nobody else at the table. He's just, he's in his own world.
So why do you think that guy's there? Is he to fill space, or that's just a Mel Brooks thing? What do you think?
I have no idea other than Mel Brooks going, we'll just throw somebody in there, play with an egg, and see if anybody notices.
Well, you know how we all are challenged to come up with a backstory when we're portraying a character, and if we do a stage play or something. I'm going to surmise that Mongo knows this guy and he's his friend. Because if you watch him with his boiled egg, he looks like he might be a couple of pieces short of a loaf of bread, possibly. Because he looks kind of like, boiled egg and nothing. He's oblivious as to what's going on behind him. And Mongo's like, him friend, me not hurt him. Let him eat egg. Hulk smash.
Him Eggman.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he was the only one who didn't react when Mongo came in.
And he left him alone.
Maybe Mongo's like a T-Rex. If you don't move, he can't see you.
Well, that's true, too. He's moving a little bit, but not a lot.
But no, maybe compared to everybody that probably scattered, that's where his attention was. And somehow Mongo was able to, I don't know, he's dispatched at least 3 other people and convinced everybody to hide behind the piano.
But everyone's behind the piano, and you figure he's pushing them back, and the pressure of him pushing the piano is holding them against the wall. But what is keeping the ones from the side from just walking out the side and leaving?
The script.
The script.
Well, or Mongo saying, don't do it.
Mel Brooks on this side of the lens going, stay there.
Or they're singing, if I come out from behind this piano, it'll be worse than if I stay behind.
I need everyone to have their mouths open, and can you waggle your tongue a little as we get closer in?
And let's feel a little sorry for the guy that's upside down with the feet that are standing up, that are sticking up through the crowd back there in the back.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
He's upside down, and that's not good.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
If you see right in the very middle, and it's real hard to tell unless you're watching on a bigger screen.
Yeah.
But you've got 2 boots sticking up between the heads of the hats of these people in the back. So there's somebody totally upside down.
It will zoom in closer. We will see it, but that is hilarious. There's one guy upside down back there. That's just in a bad shape.
Mongo is a one-man wrecking crew.
He is. Can I ask you a question in terms of just set? Does this look
I think I know what he's going to say.
Does this look like when we see our sheriff come in wearing a completely different outfit, which we'll get to in a second, but does it look like a painted backdrop of the city of Rock Ridge?
That's one of my notes. I said, note the obvious backdrop painting outside the saloon door. It's obvious and was probably used in several Warner Brothers.
Well, and the reason I say that is there is no branding of the word Johnson anywhere, and we've seen on all of the main streets, every storefront has Johnson on the sign.
That's just one that they actually just kind of grabbed, I think.
There are no Johnsons painted anywhere in the backdrop. And if you were trying to at least match the Rock Ridge, you would have at least tried to put one Johnson in there. I mean, this is Rock Ridge.
That's right.
You got to have at least one Johnson hanging everywhere.
Out. Not that scene. You're right. I think they just grabbed something from the Warner Brothers stock room or whatever. And
Yeah, there's
put it
a
up
lot
there
of
from
kind of
Western.
stock stuff in this movie.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's talk about the character because we see him in the little bit of the medium shot when Mongo is still pushing everybody. He's coming in from one side and making the turn, and it's Sheriff Bart, but he's wearing a black uniform, black boots, a black hat, a little bit of maybe a badge, carrying a book and a box.
Candygram for Mongo.
That's a different look.
That is a
Yes.
different look.
It's very fitting too. It's very slim on him.
And what I love, it's a Western Union outfit.
Yeah, it sure is. It has the old classic Western Union logo on his cap.
And, you know, we know about in filmmaking, you're supposed to dolly in or push in. You're not supposed to zoom in, but Mel Brooks has loved the zoom in this movie.
Well, I'll call you out on that. I don't know if
zoom sucks.
I don't know if they're supposed to or not. I think it's up to the director because I know zoom ins that have worked before. You don't always.
Well,
have to
sometimes
use
when you
dolly.
don't have a choice because you couldn't lay the track because you're going to zoom and push
You
in.
don't always have to use dolly. You can zoom in if you want to.
Sure.
So that's a matter,
There's a lot of
that's a
independent
matter of
filmmakers
filmmaking
that
opinion.
Does it help that this movie has that Warner Brothers cartoon feel to it in a lot of places that allows him to get away with stuff
That
like
is exactly what that feels like. The whole cartoon zoom, like, boom.
Yeah.
Like zoom right in. Yeah. And that's why you always want to do the dolly shot because when you zoom, it looks like a zoom versus the camera moving. It looks like you're just adjusting the lens. But this one works because it's like that right up on his face. And he's like, what's going on here?
Alan Spielberg over there. Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It also gives
we have
you
to teach people some things, and sometimes the guest learns too.
That sounded like Spielberg too.
Well, it also gives you a little bit of a sense of the confusion that he has. Does that make sense? Like as they zoom in on his face like that, it kind of helps you understand the
He
shock.
had no idea what he was going to see.
No,
as he
and
walked in
because he
there.
delivers the line, which is hard to hear the first time you're seeing the movie because everyone's like screaming and being crushed, but you hear him say "Candygram for Mongo." He's got a half smile, and then he goes like, "Oh, this is not what I was expecting."
And every time, well, I think he says it 3 times. I can't remember how many times he says it, but every time he says it, it's obviously dubbed by Cleavon Little. That was not delivered on set. Just listen to it, and you could tell.
Well, and do you
It
think
is
that
just dubbed.
he has
I'm
that
sure it was
sense that-
ADR because it was
That's
so
what I'm
loud
saying.
with everybody.
Oh, yeah. But it's
I'm sure.
obviously ADR.
It's still his voice.
It's still him, but
Yeah.
it's still, I just think it's funny.
Well, do you think he kind of had that holy shit? What have I gotten myself into when he walked in there and saw this destruction?
He's got the oh damn look like
Yeah.
those eyes. That's like they oh.
Yeah, I've
I
really.
make you almost wonder if he's thinking to himself, "Is this going to work?" But
Yeah,
he's going
I
to give it.
think so.
He's going to give it a go.
He is going to give it a go. He doesn't back down. I'll give him credit for that.
We do see before the zoom in, we see the guy that's hanging, all kind of bent over, leaning on himself in the corner of the screen as we zoom past it. And then when we cut to the other shot of Mongo still doing his thing, we've got the same guy. It looks like just the camera's catching him from the other side now, and we see the boots like BK pointed out of the guy who's upside down behind the.
I feel sorry for him.
Did he go diving behind the piano for cover and then realize, oh, this was a mistake?
How did he? Because he could have. Yeah, you're right. He could have been running and jumped over the piano and went down.
Right.
Exactly. And
Maybe that's what they thought they would hide for. They were hiding from him, and it was too late, and now they're paralyzed.
Right.
And they don't know how to like
Can't even
move.
get back.
Apparently, they can't sidestep.
Right. No, they're not. There's plenty of room on the side. Yeah.
Maybe they're only pawns. They only go forward.
Well, as we know, the townspeople in this town aren't all that smart. So,
no,
yeah, you're right.
No, morons.
The common play of the West.
That's right.
It felt like we said that earlier this week.
Yeah.
Since we've identified him now, when the zoom comes way into his face and he gives that look, we can see the Western Union logo on his hat.
Yes, Western Union, which I think a lot of that's a generational thing, obviously, because I don't think they send telegrams anymore. Western Union is still around today.
Yeah, you can send money, but I don't think you can send.
They were founded in 1851, and they did offer cablegrams as well as candygrams. They also offered dollygrams. You ever heard of those?
I don't think so.
And they offered melodygrams, which is just a fancy word for singing telegrams.
Was
which
the
they
Dollygram
did.
a Dolly Parton-gram?
Actually, no, but that would you think that's a good guess though. That's what I would have thought it was until I found out what it was. A dollygram is kind of a telegram delivered with a little doll, a little made
a
yarn
dolly.
dolly with a message on the back for the recipient. And I had never heard of a dollygram before until I researched this little part.
I have never heard of that.
Now I've heard of the singing telegram. Like da-da-da-da-da, hey, how you doing? Your dad died today. You know, just to, you know,
you will be depressed and jump off a cliff.
Just to make you feel better
about yourself.
Yeah,
right.
Now, see, I didn't say that haphazardly, and that was not tacky because my dad has died, and so has Alan. So we're both okay with that. I can make that joke. So. We're
I guess
okay
I
with
can throw
that.
in. I've wanted to kill my dad a few times.
I guess he is. I'm speaking for him. He's all right over there, I guess. So, you know, we're both in that same boat. But yeah, telegrams. I'd never heard of dollygrams. I'd heard of singing telegrams. And today it's a generational thing. You know, we joked about calling directory assistants on the phone. Kids have no idea what you're talking about when you say that.
Because you don't need to do it anymore.
Sending a telegram. You know, we all know what that means. I actually remember getting my grandmother getting one back when I was a really young kid in the early 70s. They were still doing it back then. And they usually meant bad news.
Well, also meant because not everybody had phones. You couldn't just ring everybody up.
And that's exactly
the
what
closest you could do is telegram or send a telegram to the closest telegram office.
Right.
And they would then deliver it.
Unfortunately, that's how a lot of the soldiers' wives got word that their husbands had been killed in action. You know, World War II or Korea and Vietnam. All through Vietnam, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting about the about Candygram. He comes in and talks about Candygram. You know, you can still send a Candygram today, not necessarily with the Western Union. Candygram.com. Well, you can still send a Candygram to this day. Check them. They're not paying us for this, but check them out. You know, check them out. But, no, they're not the only one, but they are the one that's Candygram.com. They do exist.
They own the name.
They own the name.
Well,
I wonder if they have a special treat, like some Easter egg in their website, where if you look for Mongo, and if it does something.
Or at Halloween, they'll send the donut delivered by the clown.
Or it's like
that we talked about. Remember that?
Or some massive gift basket. I'd like to send the Mongo via Candygram.
There you go. The Mongo.
That'd be awesome. I wonder now how many people, though, would use that website and actually say that the recipient's name is Mongo.
And when they deliver it, they have to go, Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo. And sound poorly dubbed while they say it.
Ooh, Mongo like candy.
Right.
Well, you speaking of the 2 or 3 times he actually does say it is, we get a close-up shot of him pushing the guys against the wall, and then it comes right back to Cleavon. He's like, well, I've committed this far. I might as well continue on and see what happens.
And they are using the classic Western Union logo of the time there, because I was checking them out, and that is the old logo they did use.
Candygram for Mongo.
It's the 4th Candygram for Mongo that finally gets Mongo to relent.
Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo. Me Mongo.
Because he finally goes, me Mongo. And I love how seriously he takes his job. Like Cleavon Little playing the Western Union.
Yeah.
Like there's a rule here. He looks, we're going to get to it tomorrow. But he looks like, I'm serious. I have to deliver this Candygram.
Well, he went all out and got the uniform, so yeah, he is
100% into character.
I'm convinced that he's with the Western Union.
Now, we're going to end up talking about this more with the next guests who follow, but BK, I'll go ahead and just let you talk about this for a sec, because you said when we had you on before, you never saw the TV version.
No, I have never seen the one that's with extra scenes or cut or whatever that you say. The only time I actually finally did see Blazing Saddles for the first time was I think it was either on cable or on video. So I saw the uncut version, just the regular version on video cassette a long time ago. So my dad was on with my dad once when I was a kid in the living room, and I thought, what is this weird movie with all this stuff happening at the end, that doesn't have anything to do with Westerns and stuff. But I didn't watch the whole thing when I was a kid.
So you had no idea that Mongo was defeated more than once, both in the script and in what was filmed, and they chose to take those extra scenes out.
I did not know.
Well, we have a duty tomorrow and the next day with our next guest to talk about the outtakes, because you can see them online, and of course the TV version, which I grew up with, had them, and I think we're going to find ourselves by the end of this movie going, that's the one thing I wish they would have put back in.
I would agree with you. I definitely, with all the stuff we've seen so far that's been cut, if they were going to leave something in, that's the stuff that should have stayed.
So we'll have so we'll make a point of talking about it with our next guest, because I think those scenes are well worth talking about, because for me, that's the movie I remember, because that was the first time I ever saw it. I recorded it on the VCR, and that's the version I watched over and over and over. So that's indelibly, the version in my head that I saw as Blazing Saddles.
It's interesting that a lot of movies would do that for television broadcast because, especially the ones that they had to, as we know, they had to cut scenes out to make up for running time for the allotted time that ABC, CBS, NBC, whoever was showing it. They did that with a couple of the Star Trek movies. They did it with Superman. They did it with Superman 2. Obviously, I guess they did it with Blazing Saddles and a lot of other films. And I got a little disappointed. And I'll share a quick story with you. When Star Trek: The Motion Picture first came out on video cassette, it was advertised as with 12 minutes of bonus footage as seen on ABC television when it first came out. So people liked it so much that they wanted the scenes back in there. So that does happen sometimes. They do add scenes back in.
Well, I do know if you were lucky enough, or if you haven't done it yet, if you buy the 40th anniversary, the Blu-ray version that came out a few years ago, it does have as part of the outtakes. It shows all the stuff that were, but
they're separate.
But there's no version that you can say will play with the outtakes.
Oh, okay, so it's separate.
Kind of
stinks.
stinks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, it fascinates me with this movie that now, like every movie I see, I'm like, wow, that's going to take 123 episodes to go through that minute by minute.
Well, what kind of fool would do it a minute at a time on a podcast? Who would do
it's
that?
It's insane.
Man,
it makes no sense.
Jeez.
But Young Frankenstein was 106 minutes.
Correct.
A lot of other movies around that time were over 100 minutes. This was 93 minutes,
right,
in the cinematic version. So why didn't they throw those back in? I mean, at most it's 5 more minutes,
and not even that long. It only has
comedies tended to be shorter anyway, right? Some comedies did. I know the other one was comedy too. But I thought comedies were a little shorter.
Well, and don't forget, as we've seen, and we're only halfway through the script at this point, but we've already seen, similar to Young Frankenstein, not quite as bad, scenes taken out. And I know Mel Brooks has talked about how his part was a lot larger for playing the governor,
right,
and left a lot of that out as well to keep it moving. And we've talked about how the script constantly it never stops.
And hearing Gene talk about Mel in wanting to be in Young Frankenstein and not wanting him to be in it, we can understand that about Mel. Yeah, I'm sure his part was larger until it was cut down a little bit because we know Mel tends to probably want to be in a movie or in a few more scenes than I guess he didn't have the agreement with Gene in this one that, no, you can't be in it.
Yeah, I don't think Gene had a whole lot to say
not
on
in
this one.
Yeah.
No, Gene was hired for this one. The other one, it was Gene's idea. Mel goes, I'd like to make that. Well, guess what? Now Gene suddenly has more power.
Right.
You're bloody well right.
That's all I had. I didn't have anything else.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
He's out of notes, so
I'm out of notes.
It's up to us.
Do you have any notes? I got a note to self.
I've got a few notes.
Don't ever do this again. No,
right.
Don't ever break down a movie 1 minute. Right. No, seriously. BK, anything else that you have, since we're at the end of the minute, we're going to continue this into tomorrow, but anything else you have?
No, but I did want to say that I'm glad that, congratulations to you guys, because I know that this is another successful second season of the Wilder Ride, and I think that you guys are doing a great job. I was thinking, how can we do better than Young Frankenstein? But I don't necessarily think we did. I think it's just as good. So they're both as like apples and oranges. I think it's just as good as Young Frankenstein. So I think it's a great, and I'm glad you guys asked me back.
All right.
It's fantastic.
So you came in kind of later on in Young Frankenstein. And of course, there are different types of movies.
Right.
But how do you look at those two movies? You've helped us break down Young Frankenstein.
Right.
You've now helped us break down this movie. Where do these two fall with you? Has it helped to enhance your enjoyment of the two movies, breaking it down like this?
Yes, it has. And I'll tell you why. I tell you that Blazing Saddles more so than Young Frankenstein, because I really kind of I loved Young Frankenstein and ate, drank, and slept it growing up because I really loved it over and over again. Had a copy of it and would watch it regularly. So I knew a lot about it. I still learn stuff because as we delve into them, we learn a lot about them. Even we do. Even we're the age where we can still learn something.
We forget it quickly,
can't
but
believe
we
that,
still do learn.
But Blazing Saddles is the one that was funny and I liked it, but I'm learning more about Blazing Saddles, listening to the Blazing Saddles podcast and being a part of it as well, which I appreciate that too. So I appreciate.
Well, why don't you sing us a song?
I haven't made up a song about this one yet. I know I made a Young Frankenstein song, but I didn't do one about this. So yeah, but it's great. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's the fact that you're doing this one. And I was kind of worried about it. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do Young Frankenstein today in the 2019 with all the stuff attached to it and the political correctness bullshit.
You mean
going on?
You mean Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles, yeah. Right. Well, Young Frankenstein too sometimes, but yeah.
Young Frankenstein is much safer in terms of concept.
It's done, but it's done very well. And I think what the heck, throw caution to the wind and do it because the movie exists. It's funny, and they say what they say in it, and it is what it is. And I think we're doing a great job.
I feel like we've been doing it okay so far. I know we were worried, but you know what? I'm glad we're doing it because we're getting some really good conversation out of it.
We are. And I think that one of the things that I appreciate about this movie, and I don't think you and I have even talked about this off the air, it is deeper than just that one message, too. It's deeper than the racism message. It's deeper than that. And
it is.
So as a comedy, that's got to be a real challenge to put that together. But for us as viewers, it's also a challenge to get beyond that stuff.
Right. And I don't want to belittle anyone's opinion about it that might be listening, but if you come in with the attitude of all blazing saddles, that's just a terrible racist movie. I'm like, well, okay, if you say that, you're kind of already coming at me with an argument that you're not going to win anyway, so I don't even think I want to engage you.
Right.
You're not putting two and two together and being smart about this, because that is not what it's all about.
And you've already written it off.
You've already written it off.
I hate people that prejudge.
Yeah, I do too.
I can't stand those people.
With a passion.
I give them nothing.
That's right.
No room at all.
That's right. So very true, yeah.
What's the George Carlin? He's like, my philosophy, live and let live. Live and let live. Anybody can't hand it, take them outside and shoot the
Exactly. Exactly.
And like Blazing Saddles, George Carlin, he's very un-PC, which was great, which is hilarious.
Well, do you have anything left in your notes?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay. Well, before we tease what's coming up tomorrow, BK, you were with us a little earlier in the season, but for folks who may have missed out or forgot, you have a radio show. Tell us a little bit about where people can tune into a live broadcast.
Right, and we talk about movies and television, pop culture, things of the past and the present, and anything else that we can squeeze in there, nostalgic geekiness. It's BK on the Air. You can hear me every Saturday from 10 a.m. until noon on WBHF Radio, 100.3 FM and AM 1450, WBHFradio.org, or you can download the free TuneIn app. Get the free version. You don't have to pay for it if you don't want to, and listen to us that way by tuning into WBHF, and you can hear us every Saturday. We have a great time, and sometimes these two guys in here with me are on there with me.
And you can hear it on SoundCloud if you miss it live.
Get the SoundCloud app. If you miss it, you can hear that week's episode of the show all week until the following Saturday.
Excellent. Walt, where can people hear us?
You can hear us in a lot of
because they're not
places.
hearing us right now.
That's right. You've picked this up by some strange wavelength thing.
You overheard somebody playing it from their cubicle at work.
It's almost like the old AM bounce where you could pick up the Philippine radio.
Or like the old Gilligan's Island when the filling started pulling in a radio signal.
That's right.
That's what we talk about on Big End there. That kind of stuff right there.
That kind of weirdness, yes.
And if it's coming from your coworker in a cubicle, you start thinking about who you're working with.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you can hear us all kinds of places. You can hear us on the Apple podcatcher thing, the purple thing on your phone if you have an iPhone, Stitcher, all kind of Himalaya. I mean, we're all over the place now, and youtube.com/The Wilder Ride. So we now have our own handle there. So you really can't avoid us.
And you guys have a TuneIn channel too, don't you? You're on TuneIn.
We are on
TuneIn,
exactly.
iHeartRadio.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're on Spotify.
It's crazy, isn't it?
You can actually tell Alexa to play the most recent episode of the Wilder Ride podcast.
That's right. That's how.
And as long as you
listens.
enunciate and it knows how to hear what you're saying, well, I don't know if it can make it work for you.
No, you gotta get me on Alexa
because you're like. First of all, I was like, who is Alexa?
Have you seen the Saturday Night Live thing of Alexa for old people?
Yeah, they use every word. Call it anything and it'll answer. Hey, Alfonso, tell me.
How did Jackie Robinson do? Jackie Robinson retired in 1956.
Hey,
that doesn't sound right.
Hey,
I think that's
our daughter gave us her old Amazon Echo for Christmas, and we plugged it in, used it for about a day, and unplugged it. We didn't like it. I don't like that thing because we would say something and it would do something, and I'm like, I just don't like that thing. I
love it.
It's not that I'm old fashioned; it's just don't like it. Now that I hear that they're listening in on you, I don't want to have anything.
Well,
to
see,
do
like
with
on my iPhone, I can go, hey Ginger, play the Wilder Ride. Ginger.
Well, they don't listen unless you have certain things turned on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I will tell you, I love it. I love I love having it in the house. And one of the things that we enjoy doing is change the name. We changed it to Computer for a while, so we sounded like Picard. We were like, Computer, play. And it was great. Then I started realizing if I had friends over, I didn't want to do that. So I changed it back to Alexa.
Right.
Well, I like being able to go, hey Siri, play the Wilder Ride.
Why? Did you not want your friends to know that you are a big freaking nerd?
No, they already knew that. I just didn't need to reinforce
what are you hiding it for?
I just didn't need to reinforce it. They're like, we know. We know.
Computer.
You don't need to wear a T-shirt that says, I'm a nerd.
Right.
Some things just speak for themselves.
I have a podcast.
People know I'm a nerd.
Hey, everybody, want to be on my podcast?
Oh, so you're covering sports? No.
Yeah.
You're covering politics? No. What do you cover? Gene Wilder movies.
Gene Wilder movie.
Yeah, you're the biggest nerd I know.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for us, but let's go ahead and tease what's coming up tomorrow. We will have a couple of folks from across the pond joining us tomorrow. We've got Ben Ford and Dave Robinson of the podcast 60 Minutes With, and it's actually a really fun podcast because it's like 7 different shows under that name brand of 60 Minutes With. Totally enjoy it. Not safe for work, but it's hysterical hearing a bunch of guys with British accents all rip on each other. Sounds a little bit like what we do here.
Very familiar.
Really?
But they're going to be joining us from across the pond, and we're going to start off with Sign, Please. We'll also have some TV outtake discussions, like I said we would have to do, Walt.
Yes.
And we will end with, wait a minute, that's it, of course. And it will... we're going to be stuck in the middle of somebody saying, I think it's Headley, and of course it will what? We won't know. But we're going to have to still come back tomorrow for this, The Wilder Ride.
Do we get to have a Candygram?
Candygram for Mongo.
Across the pond? I thought you meant you were getting somebody on the other side of Lake Allatoona coming in.
Look,
you mean the
we're
ocean,
further than
man.
Georgia.
You mean the ocean, really? That's impressive. That's pretty nice.
Everybody uses that phrase, knows is what we mean. How did you not know?
I'm not from
You're not from across
the lake.
You're from across the lake. See, we just said across the lake.
That's what I thought, you know. Well, my ancestry's British, so maybe I can send him an email and ask him some questions about England.
I'm from the other side of the creek.
The creek.
Oh,
that's even smaller than the lake. Yeah.
Somebody shoot me.
Oh, gladly.
I won't be able to
Is
hear.
it okay if I look at him and talk like this? Hey, Walt.
No, that would be bad.
Hey, what's going on?
That would be bad. Don't do
I
that.
said that on purpose.
Hey,
Don't do that.
so
Hey, yo.
remember when
That was the funniest thing I ever heard. That was
Home
great.
again. Don't bang the table.
remember
Sure
when
is
John
good coffee.
How many cows are there in Bartow County?
That's not odd at all.
You need help, man. You need help. No, you don't need help. You're just a normal.
I'm normal. I just say the stuff most people learn not to say out loud.
Right. Exactly.
That's the problem.
You need filters, man.
I do need filters. My wife tells me, she goes, please put the
There
filter
was something you said on Saturday.
So, I believe you said that in the exact episode that we had the first time. I'm going to have to cut that so that way it doesn't sound like you only have 2 jokes.
Whatever works.
He's a Joe Tillian trainer.
Okay, you're touching cotton then.
We said that too.
Okay, prairie dogging. What else?
We said that too.
Turtlehead.
There's another one. I don't know of another thing.
Because we used them all.
But it was so far back, nobody's going to remember.
Nobody's gonna
I don't remember.
Somebody who
obviously
just
saying
joined
it,
us
so-
today.
Yeah, I just said it. So.
What was the last thing we said? About, hey, hold that
said
thought.
train.
So you completed your thought, right?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
I did?
You did.
For a change?
Because
Really?
you said it, hold that. God bless.
Well, he was going to say something, and you were like, hold that thought.
Hell, I don't remember what it was.